Welcome to the intro training exercises for Sharperlight's Excel add-in on Business Central. Please follow the video carefully and if needed, use the PDF listed within the description for further information. This is exercise 6 and 7. Exercise 6 covers the SplitRow formula, and exercise 7 covers SplitRow formulas using an Excel table or value formula. Exercise 6 continues on the same workbook from the previous exercise. Open the sheet for X6. This sheet has a layout for a report on the current month or year to date actuals and budgets for revenue and cost of sales. Before, we would have to manually list down each row to help pass filter parameters for a value formula. Sharperlight's Excel add-in has an automation formula for dynamically adding rows, columns, and worksheets with split formulas. Split row, split column, and split sheet are the three split formulas. They do not rely on VBA macros and are actioned using Sharperlight's recalculation. We'll only look at the split row formula in this exercise, as we want to dynamically add rows for the revenue. Select the cell D7. Here we have a typical value formula, returning the balance of accounts defined in the list of cell N7. Instead of returning a single summarized row, we'll use a split row formula to split out the separate rows for each account that exists within the range. Click on the Sharperlight Excel add-in's splitter icon. This will open up the splitter wizard. Select the row and column pane. Here we want to make sure that row is selected. Then double click on the cell D7. Under the filter names, all filters that are valid candidates will appear, as the filter that we split on needs to have relative cell references that work with our split, being either for rows or columns. Double click on the filter name for GL account number. This should populate the code values filter name and code cell reference boxes. Then select the box for description cell reference, and then double click the cell C7. This sets where the description will go. We need to also tick the box for exclude parent. We now want to deploy our split row formula to the cell L7. So select the cell L7 and then click on the link icon, which should generate a split row formula. To action our split row formula, click on Recalculate Worksheet. Then our split will generate in a new sheet identical to the sheet X6, but will have the split output. Here we can see the balances of each account for the given account range, and can also see the descriptions for each row. For exercise 7, go to the sheet X7. In exercise 6, we created a split row formula that used a named filter. In this exercise, we will demonstrate creating a split row formula that uses hard-coded references to either a value formula or an Excel table. Select the cell L7. This is a split row formula with a reference to the Excel table Revenue Accounts. We can see through the table lookup that this table is the one in the columns Q and R. Excel tables used in this way provide a simple way of grouping various accounts into a category with their own description. The most flexible method of populating the code and description list values is using an embedded value formula. Select the cell M7, where you should see a value formula embedded in a split row formula. The cell Q7 has a duplicate of the value formula that exists in M7. Select the cell Q7 and unquote it. It returns a list of account codes and descriptions. Open the query. Here we can see this query is set to the reporting mode of a detailed report with distinct values. Go back to the worksheet and select the cell M7 again and unquote it. When we recalculate, the split row formula should now execute, but now we are powering the split with a value formula. Before we recalculate, comment out the cell L7. A new sheet generates with the split row, and we will see the balances for each account. This concludes the training for exercises 6 and 7 for the Sharperlight Excel add-in on Business Central. For more information and in-depth explanations, please refer back to the training PDF.